I'm 82 years old now. At this age, people stop asking you what your plans are. They don't ask where you see yourself in 5 years. Most people assume there won't be 5 years. And lately, I've been thinking about something that followed me quietly through most of my life. I confused stability with happiness. For a very long time, I believed they were the same thing. They're not. I'm not telling you this because I'm bitter. My life wasn't tragic. I had a job, a house, a family. From the outside, it probably looked like
And it
everything worked out the
stays.
way it was supposed to.
I'm not telling you this because I expect anything to change. At my age, you don't tell stories to fix things. You tell them because there isn't much time left, and the truth starts to feel heavier when you keep it to yourself. Most people who knew me would say I lived a good life. And they wouldn't be wrong. I worked hard. I provided. I didn't cause trouble. I was steady, reliable, the kind of man people could count on. I didn't disappear. I didn't betray anyone. I didn't take risks that would put my family in danger. That was important to me. Still is, I suppose. But there's something no one tells you about being that kind of person. You can do everything right and still miss the point. When I was younger, I thought love was something you protected by controlling it. You didn't say too much. You didn't show too much. You kept things balanced. If you gave too much, you risked losing yourself. If you needed too much, you risked being a burden. So I stayed in the middle. Always in the middle. I met my wife when I was 27. She was the kind of person who felt things deeply. You could see it in the way she listened, the way she laughed, even the way she argued. Nothing about her was halfway. At the time, I admired that. I thought it was beautiful. But I also thought it was dangerous. Not for her, for me, because I didn't know how to meet her there. I remember one night, early on, she asked me a simple question. We were sitting at the kitchen table, nothing special about the evening. She said, "What do you feel when you think about us?" It wasn't a trick question. She wasn't testing me. She just wanted to know. And I remember pausing, not because I didn't feel anything, but because I was trying to choose the right amount to reveal. I said something safe, something like, "I think we're good together." She nodded, smiled a little, but I could see it. Even then, it wasn't what she was asking for. And that became a pattern. Not something loud, not something we fought about, just a quiet space between what she offered and what I returned. I told myself I was being steady, that relationships needed balance, that too much emotion could wear things down over time. So I kept things even. When she cried, I comforted her, but I didn't ask too many questions. When she was excited, I smiled, but I didn't get carried away. When she reached for me emotionally, I met her halfway. Always halfway. We built a life like that. A house, 2 children, weekends that looked like what you'd expect. School runs, grocery lists, small talk over dinner. I was there for all of it. I didn't miss birthdays. I didn't forget anniversaries. But there are other things I missed. Smaller things. Harder to point to. Moments when she wanted to talk and I said, "Let's do it later," and later never came. Times when she tried to tell me something important and I gave her a solution instead of listening. Nights when she sat a little quieter than usual and I noticed but didn't ask. Not because I didn't care, because I thought it would pass. Everything passes, I used to think. And if it didn't, well, we'd deal with it when it got serious. But life doesn't always give you that kind of warning. Sometimes things don't break. They just fade. Slowly, quietly. Over the years, she stopped asking certain questions, stopped reaching in the same way. She became more self-contained. I told myself that was normal. People settle. They grow comfortable. I thought comfort was a good sign. I didn't realize it can also be a kind of distance. Our children grew up. They moved out. That's how it goes. And suddenly, it was just the two of us again. You'd think that would bring people closer. In some ways, it did. But in other ways, it revealed what had been missing all along. There were evenings when we sat in the same room, not arguing, not upset, just quiet. Too quiet. And I remember thinking, this is peaceful. But it wasn't peace. It was the absence of something we never fully built. The turning point didn't come with a fight. It didn't come with a dramatic moment. It came on an ordinary morning. She was in the kitchen making tea. I was reading the newspaper. She said my name. I looked up, and she said, very calmly, "I don't think you ever really let me in." That was it. No anger, no accusation in her voice, just a statement. And for the first time, I didn't have a response ready, because she was right. Not completely shut out, I wasn't a stranger, but there was a part of me, a deeper part, that I had always kept protected, even from her, especially from her. I tried after that. I really did. I started asking more questions, listening more, trying to say things I had never said before. But there's something about time. It doesn't just move forward, it builds weight. And by then, there was a weight between us. Not resentment, exactly, just years. Years of almost. Years of half-steps. Years of careful love. She didn't reject me. She wasn't cruel, but I could feel it. The distance had settled into something permanent, like a shape that couldn't be changed anymore. She passed away when I was 89. It was sudden, a stroke. One day she was there, moving through the house like she always had, and the next, she was gone. Just like that. People say things in those moments, about memories, about love, about how you were lucky to have each other. And I nodded, I thanked them, because in many ways they were right. But there was something else sitting underneath all of that, something I didn't say. At the funeral, I stood there and realized I had never once told her everything I felt. Not all of it, not in the way she had asked for all those years ago. I had loved her, there's no question about that, but I had loved her carefully, as if there would always be more time to say the rest, more time to open up, more time to meet her where she was. And then suddenly, there wasn't. That's the part no one prepares you for. It's not the big mistakes that haunt you. It's the things you thought you could do later, the conversations you postponed, the feelings you rationed, the way you held back, thinking you were protecting something, when really, you were letting it slip away. These days, the house is quiet in a different way. Not peaceful, not heavy, just empty. I sit in the same chair. I make my tea the way she used to. Sometimes I talk out loud, as if she might hear me. I tell her things now. Small things, big things, all the things I should have said when she was sitting right across from me. It's a strange thing talking to someone who isn't there. You don't get an answer, but you still feel the absence of one. I don't know how much time I have left. At 86, you stop thinking in years. You think in mornings, in evenings, in whether or not you'll wake up tomorrow. And I've made a kind of peace with that. Not a comforting kind of peace, just an acceptance. But if you're listening to this and you still have people in your life, people who sit across from you, who ask you questions, who reach for you in ways that might feel uncomfortable or inconvenient, I hope you don't do what I did. I hope you don't measure your love so carefully that it never quite arrives. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to say everything right. But say something real, even if it feels too much.
even if it feels risky. Because one day you might find yourself in a quiet room with all the right words finally ready and no one left to hear them. If this meant something to you, you can sit with it for a while. You don't have to do anything. Just don't assume there's more time. I used to believe there always was. I don't believe that anymore. And tonight, like most nights, I'll sit here a little longer than I need to. Not because I'm afraid of sleep, but because in the quiet, I can still almost hear her asking that question. What do you feel when you think about us? And even now, after all these years, I'm still trying to answer it properly.